With the 2024 college football season around the corner, the hype is definitely building. And in an offseason full of lists, rankings, and singles, we can't help but wonder what to expect from the nation's top programs and one of the nation's worst.
I'm undefeated in the SWAC, so I already know what the expectation comes with. I know where everybody's Super Bowls.
Shador, you are not. You are an easy win nowadays. Colorado is nothing. They don't matter.
So I'm really just, I always stay level-headed, stay grounded.
Ah, yes. Literally grounded.
Not an easy block when a safety's got a 15-yard.
Now, if you're a fan of college football, you probably remember this. Early September, week 1 of the 2023 season, the defending national runner-up TCU Horned Frogs lost in a shootout to the Colorado Buffaloes. In what I will admit was a very impressive performance by Shedeur Sanders, the Buffs put on a show. I mean, 510 passing yards, 4 touchdowns on over 80% completion rate, 4 receivers racking up over 100 yards each from a first-time FBS quarterback. That will impress anyone. At that moment, it seemed that Coach Prime kept his word on his luxury talent. Deion brought his Louis.
We got a few positions already taken care of because I'm bringing my luggage with me. And it's Louis.
In the next 2 weeks, Deion would show off his self-proclaimed Louis, winning bouts against the rebuilding Nebraska Cornhuskers and the struggling Colorado State Rams. But what if I were to tell you that this 3-week-long performance was the worst thing to ever happen to the Colorado football program? Coach Prime is not your typical football coach. Dude is a legend in the game, respected for his own accomplishments on the field. Fans loved that he was staying active in the game as a coach and gained national attention stepping up to his current role with the Buffs. The media coverage was extensive, to say the least. Interviews, debates, rankings, predictions, and more, covering the Colorado Buffaloes months before their kickoff against TCU. This coverage, matched with the bold personality of Deion Sanders, created a culture at the Colorado football facility that is hard to describe as anything else but toxic. More on this later. After their first 3 games of the season, how could people not talk about the Colorado Buffs? And if fans had not yet decided to join or critique the hype, it was clear just how Coach Prime felt about the current state of college football.
Who's the best coach in college football today?
Let me see. Let me see a mirror so I can look at it.
You feel that?
What? You think I'm going to sit up here and tell you somebody else?
And then week 4 happened.
Hey, I'd like to report a crime to the murder to these ducks.
So there was indeed no murder of any ducks. Instead, a sad herd of buffalo going back to Boulder. And the same sad herd found themselves questioning everything for 8 more weeks. With only 1 break from the downfall, barely surviving Arizona State. 4-8. That welcome to the Pac-12 moment was more than a moment, as it proved to be a harsh reality for the Buffs. Looking at the season as a whole, we can understand why the Buffs suffered so many losses. It's easy to point out the obvious. That undersized, less physical offensive line that was never able to really set the tempo and create opportunities for the offense. Or the appalling defensive efforts, allowing over 4,300 yards of total offense, committing almost 100 penalties on that side of the ball throughout the season. I want to focus on week 7. Even with arguably their best offensive performance of the season since week 1, and a very strong first half, the Buffs couldn't hold off Stanford. And for one Buffalo, it was particularly difficult. Following halftime, it didn't take long for the Cardinal to put their first points on the board. Quarterback Ashton Daniels found his rhythm early in the half and stayed hot, but it was the efforts of his partner at tight end Alec Ayomanor that made the difference. Even being pinned deep in their own territory, the Colorado defense couldn't take advantage of the pressure, allowing for Daniels to find Ayomanor for a 97-yard touchdown pass. The Buffs' second half struggles seeped into the other side of the ball where they showed their true weakness, and a 4th down attempt at the middle of the field, up 10 in the third, proved to be disastrous. Colorado's sideline was still, somewhat quiet, yet full of frustration, which found its way out. Travis Hunter was that poor Buffalo I mentioned earlier, who no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't put a stop on the big man. Stanford, taking advantage of the hot hands of Ayomanor, made yet another long march down the field to force overtime. That's when this happened.
One again, down here. And that's where they come, battling.
Oh
what a grab!
God.
What a highlight!
Yes, you saw that right. Alec Ayomanor bullied Travis Hunter, using his head to catch the ball on his head. The play of the game, arguably the catch of the year. Poor Travis. Yes, Stanford's effort was amazing to come back and win this game, but it was ultimately the lack of effort and execution from the Buffs that lost them this game. Much like the first part of the season, the first half of this game was great, but it doesn't take too long for the true colors to come out. This was the lowest point for the program. And yet, it still sinks lower. Since the end of the season, Coach Prime went back to the drawing board, rebuilding with a new O-line, a very low 7 high school signees, but a whopping 24 new transfers. It is clear Coach Prime is prioritizing age and experience with the transfer portal. Colorado is starting to look like they might be on the right track, but fans and media are trying their best to forget last year's performance. Yet, they simply can't. And that is the issue. You see, the moment the season came to a close and the camera shut off, it was quiet. Our eyes and ears went elsewhere. People forgot to think about the Colorado program until, as expected, they helped you remember. Enter Xavier Smith, a 6-foot DB who, in his words, was forced to transfer out of the Colorado program. Coming out and sharing his experience with The Athletic, he shared, "I was actually getting mad, like tears coming to my eyes, because, bro, you never even tried to get to know me." He was destroying guys' confidence and belief in themselves. The way he did it, it could have been done with a little more compassion. Now, this itself is not the issue, but this is. Bro had to be very mid at best. This is the exact ill-advised behavior Smith described and shared in his interview. Dismissiveness, a lack of professionalism and leadership from a D1 quarterback. Surely his dad will set him straight, right? No, not even close. Deion joined the online beef, criticizing Smith's stat line while praising his top 5 son. Many flooded the comments, criticizing the behavior of Shadur and Deion Sanders. Many described how they felt, some even losing faith in their fandom. This online beef only scratches the surface on what I believe is the most toxic football program in the country. It's like they don't remember how last season went. It's like Deion and his program never learned, and they probably never will. To end, I am excited, and I do look forward to next season, and I wish the best for the Colorado football program. But there are lessons to be learned within the walls of their football facility. Trusting Deion Sanders to be the coach of your football program is like playing with fire. The media coverage, the hype, that's great, but the underwhelming performance from a team whose inflated ego has done more damage than good, not so great. For as long as Coach Prime facilitates his program as a toxic fraternity, nothing can save Colorado football.